Have you ever wondered why some words stay with you forever, while others vanish the moment they're spoken? Why is it that a single sentence whispered at the right time can echo in your mind for years, shaping the way you feel about yourself and about someone else? Words are not just sounds. Words are seeds. Once they enter the heart, they either wither or bloom. And when they are planted at the most vulnerable, most intimate moments, they grow roots that are almost impossible to remove. Think about this for a second. Human beings don't just crave physical touch. We crave meaning. We crave to be seen, to be recognized, to be validated. Psychologists know this. The human brain is wired to seek affirmation. Every man, no matter how strong he looks, no matter how confident he seems, carries within him a hidden question. That question is, am I enough? Am I truly valued by the person I love? This is why the words you speak in moments of love are not just casual. They're not background noise. They are instructions to his soul. They are commands to his subconscious. They shape how he sees himself and how he sees you. And if you understand this truth, if you master it, you will own not just his heart, but his mind. Now, here's the part most people don't realize. When the body opens up in love, so does the mind. In intimacy, defenses crumble. Walls fall down. The proud armor he wears in public, the tough mask he shows to the world, suddenly all of that disappears. And in that vulnerable state, every word you speak lands deeper, sharper, stronger. That's why this moment is powerful. That's why what you say in those seconds will never be forgotten. But here's the challenge. Most people waste this moment. They go silent, or they speak casually, or worse, they say things that carry no meaning. They don't realize they're standing at the gateway of the soul, and instead of unlocking it with words that heal, words that empower, they let the moment pass. And then years later, they wonder why the connection feels shallow. They wonder why love feels temporary. I want you to understand something right now. You don't need money. You don't need power. You don't need beauty to capture a man's soul. You need words. Words that touch him deeper than the skin. Words that remind him that he is seen, that he is wanted, that he is chosen. That, my friend, is how you own his heart. That is how you command his mind. And let me tell you this, if you watch until the end of this message, I will reveal the exact kind of words that reach into his subconscious and make him never forget you. You'll discover why they work, how they connect to his hidden desires, and how they plant themselves in his memory so strongly that even years later, he will replay them in his mind. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear can change the entire direction of your relationship. But first, let's pause and reflect on a universal truth of psychology, people. Don't fall in love with faces or with bodies or even with status. Those things fade. What remains, what binds a soul to another, is the way someone makes them feel about themselves. And when you're the one who gives him a new identity, when you're the one who whispers into his vulnerable heart that he is enough, that he is powerful, that he is yours, in that moment, you become unforgettable. You see, the world tells men to be tough, to hide their weakness, to keep their emotions locked away. But love is where he longs to be free from that prison. Love is where he longs to feel safe enough to drop the mask. And when he does, when he lets you in, he is silently asking you for something. He is asking you to speak to his soul. And if you do, if you seize that chance, you will create a bond that nothing, no fear, no doubt, no distance will ever be able to break. So let me ask you, are you ready to learn the words that can change everything? Are you ready to understand what psychologists and relationship experts know about the power of affirmation in intimacy? Because once you know this, once you truly grasp it, you'll never look at intimacy the same way again. Stay until the end, and I promise you this, you'll walk away not just with knowledge, but with power. The power to plant words so deep in his heart and mind that they'll echo long after the moment has passed. The power to capture not just his body, but his soul. And that, more than anything else, is what every human being longs for, to be remembered, to be cherished, to be irreplaceable. When two people come together in love, something happens that is far greater than the physical act itself. The body may be involved, but the truth is, the mind is the true battlefield and the heart is the true prize. What you say in those sacred moments doesn't just vanish into the air, it sinks into his nervous system, into his emotional memory, into the very fabric of how he sees himself in your eyes. Words spoken during intimacy carry a weight that no ordinary conversation ever can. Why? Because intimacy is the point where the human brain lowers its defenses. Neuroscience shows us that vulnerability magnifies memory. When we are most exposed, we are also most receptive. This is why a single sentence spoken in those moments can carve itself into the subconscious, replaying again and again, long after the moment is ended. Your words are not simply heard, they are felt. They are stored. They become truth inside him. Think about how powerful this really is. Outside of intimacy, men are trained to be alert, to guard themselves, to show strength. But when they are with someone they love in that most vulnerable state, the brain enters what psychologists call a state of suggestibility. It means the walls are down. It means the conscious mind stops questioning and the subconscious mind starts absorbing. This is where your words matter most. This is where they leave scars or blessings, wounds or wings. Now imagine the impact of telling a man in that fragile space that he is enough. Imagine telling him that he is the one, that he is strong, that he is desired not for what he does, but for who he is. Those words don't just make him smile for a moment. They become part of his identity. They become a shield against doubt. They become the voice he hears when the world tells him he isn't good enough. And who gave him that voice? You did. Every man lives with silent battles. He may never speak of them, but they exist. Doubts about his worth, insecurities about his performance, not just in intimacy, but in life. A quiet fear that he may not measure up to expectations. These hidden struggles weigh on him like chains. But in intimacy, your words have the power to break those chains. They have the power to lift him, to rebuild him, to remind him that he is not just a man, he is your man. This is why the power of words in intimacy cannot be underestimated. They are not decorations. They are not background. They are instruments of influence. They shape the way he attaches to you. They determine whether he walks away from the moment thinking, I am, or deeply loved, or walks away wondering, did she really see me at all? Let me put it simply, men may not always remember the exact details of the moment, but they will always remember how the words made them feel. Long after touch fades, long after the night has passed, the memory of what you said lingers. It becomes part of his story. It becomes part of the way he looks at you. And this is why some relationships last a lifetime while others crumble. Because in the deepest moments, one spoke words that gave life and the other spoke nothing at all. You hold this power every single time you are close to him. The power to reinforce his confidence or to weaken it. The power to create loyalty so strong that no temptation outside your relationship can touch it. Because when a man feels truly seen in intimacy, when he feels your words lifting him higher than the world ever could, he ties his heart to you. Not out of duty, not out of need, but out of deep, unshakable choice. And here's the beauty of it. It doesn't take endless speeches. It doesn't take complicated sentences. Often it is the simplest words that go deepest. Words like you are mine. Words like I love the man you are. Words like you make me feel safe. These short sentences carry an eternal weight because they answer the questions buried in his soul. So the power of words in intimacy is not just about romance. It's about transformation. It's about using psychology with love, about speaking into the very core of who he is, about shaping his self-belief. When you do this, you become more than a lover. You become the one who defines him. And there is no greater bond than that. This is why love isn't built on touch alone. Touch awakens the body, but words awaken the soul. Touch is temporary, but words are eternal. And when you master the art of speaking in intimacy, you will find that you don't just hold his attention. You hold his loyalty, his admiration, his respect, and his devotion. So let this truth sink in. Your words are the most powerful force you carry into intimacy. Not your beauty, not your performance, not even the atmosphere. Words. Because when they are spoken with truth, with love, and with intention, they do not fade. They echo. They endure. And they make a man tie his heart to yours with a strength that cannot be broken. At the core of every human being lies a simple and undeniable truth. We all long to be validated, to be told that we matter, to be reminded that our existence is not just noticed, but cherished. This desire runs deeper than wealth, deeper than status, deeper than beauty. It is a hunger of the soul. And it drives so much of human behavior. Men are no exception to this truth. Behind every man's ambition, behind every achievement, behind the endless striving, there is one quiet question burning in his heart. Am I enough? He may never say it out loud. He may even laugh it off if someone brings it up. But that question follows him everywhere he goes. It whispers to him in silence. It sits with him in failure. It even visits him in success. Because no matter how strong a man appears, no matter how confident he seems, his heart still craves the voice that says, yes, you are enough. Psychologists tell us that validation is one of the deepest needs of human connection. When a person feels validated, the brain releases chemicals of safety and trust. It quiets the fear of rejection. It strengthens the bond between two souls. And nowhere is this more powerful than in love. Because in love, validation is not just appreciated, it is craved. This is why your words matter so much. When you validate a man in intimacy, you're not just complimenting him. You are answering the hidden question he carries. You are reaching into the silent corners of his mind and telling him the truth he desperately wants to believe, but cannot always say to himself. And when you do this, something shifts inside him. He begins to see you not just as a partner, but as the one who finally understands him, the one who sees through his armor, the one who silences his doubts. Think of how many men live their entire lives searching for this. They chase success. They chase approval. They chase recognition from the world. But the world is never satisfied. The world always demands more. And in that endless chase, his soul grows weary. But when he comes to you, when he is in that sacred space of intimacy, he doesn't want to chase. He doesn't want to perform. He wants to be seen. He wants to be enough. And your words can give him that gift. Validation is not flattery. It is not empty praise. It is truth spoken with love. Flattery touches the ears, but validation touches the soul. When you look at him and speak words that confirm his value, not just as a man in the world, but as your man, you give him something the world cannot. You give him belonging, and belonging is the deepest form of validation there is. Consider this: every man fears being replaceable. It is a silent fear that lurks beneath the surface. In his work, he can be replaced. In his friendships, he may be forgotten. But in love, he longs to hear that he is irreplaceable, that no one else could stand where he stands, that no one else could fill the place he fills in your heart. When you give him that validation, you remove the fear that eats away at him. You give him peace. You give him security. You give him a reason to hold on to you with everything he has. Validation also has another power. It builds identity. When a man hears consistent words of affirmation and intimacy, those words begin to define how he sees himself. If he once saw himself as inadequate, your words can transform that image. If he once believed he wasn't strong enough, your words can rewrite that belief. And soon, when he faces the challenges of life, he doesn't only hear his doubts. He hears your voice. He hears the echo of your validation, reminding him that he is enough, that he is capable, that he is loved. Do you see the weight of this? You are not just speaking to him for a moment. You are shaping the way he carries himself in the world. You are rewriting the story he tells himself. And that is why he will never forget you. Because you are not just part of his life, you are part of his identity. So remember this: every man may look like he wants admiration, but what he truly longs for is validation. Admiration praises what he does. Validation affirms who he is. And when you give him that gift, you are not just meeting a need, you are binding his heart to yours. Because nothing is more powerful than being fully known and still fully accepted. And this is the secret most people miss. The strongest relationships are not built on constant excitement or endless passion or even perfect harmony. They are built on the simple, steady practice of validation, on two souls telling each other again and again, I see you, you matter, you are enough. And when you do this in the moments of deepest vulnerability, your words become unshakable. They become unforgettable. They become the foundation of a love that will last. There is a sacred moment in love when everything changes. A moment where the body may be close, but the heart becomes even closer. It is the moment of vulnerability, the point where a man drops every mask, lays down every shield, and allows you to see him not as the world sees him, but as he truly is. And this moment is rare because most men do not let the world glimpse their weakness. They are taught from a young age to hide it, to bury it, to cover it with strength. But in love, when intimacy opens the door, vulnerability steps in. Psychology teaches us that vulnerability is the birthplace of connection. It is not in strength that people feel most bonded, but in the courage to reveal weakness. When a man lets down his guard, when he allows you to see the fears and insecurities, he hides from everyone else. He is not just trusting you, he is handing you his heart. And in that moment, the words you speak carry a power greater than you may ever realize. Think of it this way. When someone is fully armored, nothing can reach them. Praise bounces off, criticism slides away. But when the armor comes off, every word pierces deeper. Every sentence strikes the soul. This is why the moment of vulnerability and intimacy is unlike any other time. It is when the mind is open, the heart is exposed, and the subconscious is waiting to absorb whatever is spoken. This is the space where words become permanent. Now, imagine what happens if careless words are spoken in that moment. Imagine what happens if silence takes over. The wound created is not small. It is not temporary. It is lasting because the heart remembers what was said when it was most open. This is why some people carry scars from words spoken years ago. They don't forget them. They don't outgrow them because words spoken in vulnerability carve themselves into memory. But the same is true for healing words. The same is true for affirmations of love, of strength, of belonging. When spoken in the moment of vulnerability, those words do not fade. They become the inner voice he carries for life. They become the reason he walks taller, the reason he feels secure, the reason he knows without doubt that he is loved. You see, vulnerability is not weakness. Vulnerability is an invitation. And when you answer that invitation with words of truth, you build a foundation of trust that nothing can shake. Most men live with the weight of unspoken fears, fear of not being good enough, fear of being rejected, fear of failing the ones they love. They rarely admit these fears, but in moments of intimacy, those fears are closest to the surface. And in that raw space, your words can either fuel the fear or silence it. If you tell him he is not enough, even subtly, the fear grows louder. But if you tell him he is your strength, your man, your chosen one, the fear dissolves. And in its place grows a bond so strong that he will guard it with everything he has. This is why the moment of vulnerability is not something to fear or avoid. It is something to honor. It is the moment where real love begins. Because real love is not built on performance. It is not built on appearances. It is built on trust. And trust is born when two people meet in weakness and choose to love anyway. There is a beauty in seeing someone at their most fragile and saying, I still choose you. That beauty cannot be replaced by passion, by gifts, or even by time. It is unique. It is sacred. And when a man experiences that with you, he knows he has found something rare. He knows he has found something he will not risk losing. Understand this. In the moment of vulnerability, every word you speak becomes amplified. The softest whisper becomes a thunder in his heart. The smallest affirmation becomes a pillar in his identity. The gentlest phrase becomes an anchor for his soul. That is the level of influence you carry in intimacy. And this is why vulnerability is not a weakness, but the deepest form of strength. It is the place where connection is carved into eternity. So when you see him drop his guard, when you feel the armor fall away, do not shrink back. Do not stay silent. Lean in. Or speak life, speak love, speak the words that heal and restore, because those are the words he will remember when he is alone. Those are the words he will replay when doubt attacks him. Those are the words that will keep him bound to you, even when the world pulls at him from every side. The moment of vulnerability is a gift. It is the purest chance you will ever have to write yourself into his soul. Use it wisely, honor it deeply, and watch how your words in that sacred space transform not just his heart, but his entire life. To own a man's heart is not about control, and it is not about possession. It is about security. It is about creating a space so safe, so affirming, so deeply anchored in love that his heart chooses you over and over again, without hesitation, without doubt, without fear. Because a man's heart is not won by beauty alone, or by passion, or by charm. Those things may attract him, but they do not hold him. What holds him is the unshakable certainty that with you, he is seen, he is valued, and he is accepted. The human heart is designed to seek refuge. No matter how strong a person appears, no matter how many battles they fight. In the world, everyone longs for a place where they can finally rest. For a man, that place is not a physical location. It is the arms of the woman he trusts. It is the words of the woman who believes in him. It is the unwavering presence of the one who makes him feel that no matter what storms rage outside, his heart is home. To own his heart, you must understand this truth. Love is not about perfection. It is not about never failing, never arguing, never struggling. Love is about assurance, the assurance that even in weakness he will not be abandoned, the assurance that even in failure he will not be rejected. When you give him that kind of security, his heart binds itself to you. Because you become more than a partner, you become his safe haven. This is where your words in moments of vulnerability carry their greatest power. Every time you affirm him, every time you reassure him that he is enough, every time you remind him that he is loved not for what he does, but for who he is, you carve your name deeper into his heart. The heart does not cling to those who constantly demand more. It clings to those who whisper, "You are already enough." And when he feels this truth in his soul, he will give you a loyalty that cannot be shaken. Men are often taught to measure their worth by what they achieve, by the battles they win, by the strength they display. But when he is with you, he is not seeking another critic. He is not seeking another judge. He is seeking someone who will love the man behind the mask, the man behind the victories, the man behind the failures. That is how you own his heart, not by demanding more of him, but by showing him that who he already is more than enough for you. Psychology tells us that one of the deepest human needs is emotional security. Without it, relationships crumble. With it, they flourish. When a man feels emotionally secure with you, he does not wander, he does not doubt, he does not withhold his love. He pours it out freely because his heart knows it is safe in your hands. And that is the greatest form of ownership, not chains, not control, but trust. When you give a man this security, something remarkable happens. He no longer hides pieces of himself from you. He no longer fears your judgment. Instead, he opens himself fully, knowing that he will be accepted. This is the deepest intimacy possible, not just of bodies, but of souls. Because when two people can be fully themselves with each other without fear of rejection, their hearts fuse together in a bond that nothing can break. This is why owning his heart is about consistency. It is not a one-time declaration. It is not just grand gestures. It is the steady rhythm of love, the daily reminders, the gentle reassurances that tell him, "I am here, I am not leaving," or "You are mine and I am yours." That steady rhythm builds trust. That trust builds devotion. And devotion builds a love that lasts beyond time. So, if you want to own his heart, do not chase perfection. Do not chase control. Chase connection. Be the voice that silences his doubts. Be the presence that calms his fears. Be the home that his heart longs to return to, no matter where life takes him. Because once a man finds that kind of love, he will not let it go. He will protect it. He will cherish it. He will fight for it because he knows it is rare. And here is the greatest truth of all. Owning his heart is not about power. It is about partnership. It is about standing beside him, lifting him when he falls, celebrating him when he rises, and reminding him every single day that your love is unwavering. When you give him this gift, you become the center of his heart, the anchor of his soul, and the reason he never looks away. To hold a man's heart is powerful, but to hold his mind is eternal, because the heart feels, but the mind remembers. The heart may waver in moments of weakness, but the mind carries the stories, the words, and the beliefs that guide a man's entire life. If you can shape the way he thinks about himself, if you can influence the voice that speaks in his head, you will not only own his love, you will own his loyalty, his focus, and his devotion. Psychology teaches us that the subconscious mind is like fertile soil. Whatever is planted there, especially in moments of vulnerability, grows roots that are almost impossible to pull out. When you whisper words of affirmation during intimacy, they bypass his conscious defenses and sink directly into his subconscious. And once they take root, those words replay themselves over and over, shaping his identity, guiding his choices, and reinforcing his connection to you. This is why so many men remember a single phrase their partner once said, even years later. The moment may fade, but the words remain. They are stored in the mind like recordings, ready to play whenever doubt arises. If you tell him he is strong, he will carry that strength into the world. If you tell him he is enough, he will silence the voices that say otherwise. Or if you tell him he belongs to you, he will carry that truth with him wherever he goes. Your words become his mental compass. To own his mind means becoming the voice he hears when the world grows loud. Every man is surrounded by noise, criticism from society, pressure from work, comparisons with others, and his own self-doubt. But if your words are louder in his memory than all the noise outside, you have a power no one else can match. He may face storms, but he will hear your voice reminding him who he is. And that voice will steady him. That voice will guide him back to you. Consider this truth. Men do not give their minds easily. They guard their thoughts because they know the mind is where control lies. But when he lets you in, when he allows your words to shape his inner world, it is the highest form of trust. It means you have become more than his partner. You have become his influence. And influence lasts far longer than attraction. Influence is what keeps a man devoted when temptation appears. Influence is what makes him think of you before making decisions. Influence is what ties his future to yours. Owning his mind is not about manipulation. It is about empowerment. It is about speaking words that build him up so strongly that he cannot imagine life without you by his side. Because the truth is this, people remember the ones who made them believe in themselves. They never forget the ones who gave them courage, who gave them strength, who gave them identity. When you speak into his mind in this way, you are not just a lover, you become his anchor. Think about the effect of repetition. The more a word is spoken, the more it becomes reality. If he hears again and again that he is your man, that he is capable, that he is chosen, those words eventually overwrite the doubts in his head. They become stronger than fear, stronger than insecurity, stronger than failure. And when that happens, he does not just love you, he depends on you. Because your words are not only comforting, they are transforming. This is how you own not just his emotions, but his very thoughts. You give him an identity so clear, so powerful that he begins to live it every day. He becomes the man you say he is. He rises to the standard your words set. He believes the truth you speak into him. And every time he remembers those words, every time he feels them in his mind, his bond to you grows deeper. Because you are not only the one he loves, you are the one who defines him. So understand this, to own a man's mind is to shape the story he tells himself. And stories are everything. A man who believes he is strong will act with strength. A man who believes he is chosen will fight to keep what he has. A man who believes he is loved beyond condition will never look for love anywhere else. And who gave him those beliefs? You did. This is the kind of power most people overlook. They think love is only about passion, only about excitement, only about moments. But true love is about influence. It is about being the voice that echoes louder than all the others. It is about becoming the one thought that gives him peace, the one truth that keeps him grounded, the one memory that makes him smile when the world feels heavy. That is what it means to own his mind. Not by force, not by control, but by giving him words that will never leave him, words that will guide him, words that will define him for the rest of his life. Deep inside every human being lies a powerful need, one so strong that it shapes nearly every decision we make. It is the need to belong. To belong is more than simply being accepted. It is being chosen. It is knowing without doubt that you have a place no one else can fill. And for a man in love, this need for belonging is what binds his heart and mind to the one who gives it to him. Psychology teaches us that belonging is one of the most fundamental human drives. Without it, people feel lost, restless, incomplete. With it, they feel secure, focused, and alive. This is because belonging is not about being in a crowd, and it is not about being surrounded by people. It is about being irreplaceable to one person. It is about knowing that in a world of millions, there is someone who says, you, only you, always you. This is the truth men rarely speak aloud, but always feel. A man may achieve success, he may win recognition, he may gain respect, but if he does not feel that he belongs to someone deeply, his heart remains unsettled. He may smile, he may perform, but there will be a quiet emptiness inside. And only love, true love, has the power to fill that void. Belonging is what transforms affection into devotion. Attraction might bring him near, passion might ignite desire, but belonging is what makes him stay. Belonging is what tells him, here is where you are safe. Here is where you are wanted. Here is where you will never be replaced. And once he feels that, he will hold on with everything he has. Now, here is the secret. You create belonging through your words and actions in moments of closeness. When you tell him, you are mine, you give him an anchor. When you say, no one else could ever take your place, you silence the fear of being forgotten. When you remind him, I choose you every day. You erase the doubt that love could fade. These simple truths are not just heard. They are absorbed into his subconscious as undeniable proof that he belongs. And belonging does something powerful to the human mind. It eliminates competition. It removes comparison. It destroys the fear of being replaced. When a man feels he truly belongs to you, he no longer questions whether he is enough. He no longer wonders if your love is temporary. He stops searching because he has found home, and nothing is stronger than the pull of home. This is why belonging is more than affection. Affection touches the surface, but belonging reaches the core. Belonging tells him, I do not want another version of you. I do not want a better you. I do not want someone else. I want you exactly as you are. And this truth is what every man's soul longs to hear, because deep down, every man carries the hidden fear of being replaced. The world constantly compares him, measures him, demands more. But love, real love, whispers the opposite. You are enough. You are mine. You belong with me. Belonging also creates loyalty. When a man feels that he belongs, he does not drift. His mind does not wander. His heart does not look elsewhere. Why? Because he knows he already has what he was searching for. Belonging ends the search. Belonging closes the door. Belonging tells him that the place he longed for is already in his arms. And that realization is what locks his heart and mind to you with unshakable devotion. Understand this, to a man, the most intoxicating feeling is not just passion. It is significance. To feel significant in your eyes, to know that no one could take his place, to belong fully to you. That is what makes him rise higher, love deeper, and fight harder for the bond you share. Because belonging is not passive. Belonging gives him purpose. It tells him that who he is matters, not just in the world, but to the one who means the most. So when you speak to him in those intimate moments, remember the power you carry. You are not just filling silence. You are shaping belonging. You are giving him a place that no one else can offer. And when a man feels that kind of belonging, he will guard it with his life. He will honor it, protect it, and cherish it. Because deep down he knows he has found the rarest treasure a human soul can ever find, a home for his heart. Belonging is the language of love that outlasts time. It is not loud, it is not dramatic, but it is steady. It is the quiet certainty that no matter what happens, no matter how life shifts, no matter how many seasons pass, he has a place in your heart that cannot be taken away. And once he feels that, he will never let you go. Belonging gives a man security, but to keep his heart and mind bound to you, there is another secret. The balance of strength and gentleness. This balance is the language of love that reaches both sides of his soul. The warrior and the child, the protector and the dreamer. Every man carries both within him, and only when both are acknowledged does he feel fully alive in love. Strength speaks to his desire to be admired. Gentleness speaks to his desire to be nurtured. When you show him that you see both sides, you awaken a deeper devotion, because you are not just loving one part of him. You are loving his whole being. And this is what men long for but rarely find. Someone who embraces their strength without fearing it and their softness without judging it. Think about this. A man wants to be respected for his strength, his ability to protect, his courage to fight for what matters. But he also longs for a place where he doesn't have to be strong all the time, where he can rest his armor and be held without fear. If you only honor his strength, he feels pressured. If you only nurture his softness, he feels incomplete. But when you give him both, when you admire the warrior and comfort the child, you unlock a bond that no force can break. Psychology tells us that human beings are wired for duality. We carry opposing needs, independence and intimacy, power and vulnerability, strength and tenderness. The healthiest relationships are those where both sides are fed. For a man, this balance is not a luxury. It is essential. Without respect for his strength, he feels diminished. Without gentleness for his softness, he feels unseen. But when both are present, he feels whole. This is why your words in moments of intimacy must strike this balance. Tell him he is strong. Tell him you trust him, that you admire the man he is, that you feel safe in his presence. These words feed the warrior in him. They tell him his strength is noticed, his effort is valued, his presence matters. But also, tell him it is okay to let go. Tell him you love the side of him that is tender, that you see the softness he hides from the world and you honor it. These words feed the child in him. They tell him he doesn't have to perform to be loved, that even in his weakness he is cherished. When a man receives both, something powerful happens. He begins to trust you with his whole self, not just the polished public version of himself, but the raw, unfiltered reality of who he is. He gives you access to the parts of him he hides from everyone else because he knows you won't reject them. And that kind of trust is rare. That kind of trust is priceless. Many relationships fail because they lean too heavily on one side. Some give only admiration for strength, but never gentleness for weakness. Others give endless comfort, but never respect for power. In both cases, the man feels incomplete. But when you master the art of balance, you give him something he cannot find anywhere else. You give him the freedom to be fully himself without fear of judgment, without fear of failure, without fear of rejection. This balance also fuels devotion. When a man feels both respected and nurtured, he ties his identity to the relationship. He does not feel he has to hide or pretend. He feels chosen for everything he is, not just the parts he shows the world. And because you embrace all of him, he embraces all of you. He gives back the same loyalty, the same depth, the same devotion. Strength without gentleness becomes cold. Gentleness without strength becomes fragile. But when the two meet, they create a love that is unshakable, a love that is fierce enough to protect, but soft enough to heal, a love that can withstand storms, because it is not built on one dimension, but on wholeness. So when you speak to him, remember this. Let your words honor his strength, but let them also welcome his softness. Let your love respect his power, but let it also cradle his vulnerability. Because when he feels that he does not have to choose between being strong and being weak with you, he will give you everything. He will trust you with his secrets, his fears, his dreams, his failures, and his victories. And that is how you not only win his heart, you keep it for life. The balance of strength and gentleness is not just the key to intimacy, it is the key to eternity. Because a man who feels whole with you, a man who feels fully accepted in every part of himself, will never look away, or he will never let go. He will hold you with the same strength that protects and the same gentleness that comforts. And that kind of love, once found, is impossible to replace. When love is fragile, it is not always because of what is missing. It is often because of what is said or left unsaid in the moments that matter most. Just as words can build strength, words can also destroy it. And when intimacy is at its peak, when the heart is open and defenses are gone, careless words can cut deeper than any wound. That is why knowing what not to do is just as important as knowing what to say. The first danger is silence, not the comfortable silence that lovers share, but the silence of withholding affirmation. When you say nothing in moments when his soul is open, he begins to doubt. He wonders if he is enough, if he is truly seen, if his efforts mean anything at all. Silence in intimacy is not neutral. It echoes. It creates a vacuum that his mind fills with fear. In the absence of reassurance, the brain assumes rejection, and nothing weakens a man more than feeling invisible when he longs to be acknowledged. The second danger is comparison. There are few things more destructive than making a man feel like he is being measured against another. Whether it is spoken directly or implied subtly, comparison tells him he is not unique, not chosen, not irreplaceable. And once that belief enters his mind, it erodes the bond from within. A man who feels compared will eventually pull away, not because he does not care, but because the pain of never being enough becomes too heavy to carry. The third danger is criticism in the wrong moment. Constructive feedback has its place, but never in the sanctuary of intimacy. When you criticize him while his heart is vulnerable, you are not simply pointing out a flaw, you are piercing his very identity. The brain links criticism in moments of love with rejection, and rejection in intimacy feels like betrayal. Even small remarks, said casually, can echo for years. Remember, the words spoken in closeness do not fade. They embed themselves in the deepest layers of memory. The fourth danger is withholding respect. A man's deepest hunger is not for pleasure, it is for significance. If your words diminish his worth, if you belittle his effort, if you make him feel small, you take away the very thing he craves most. And when a man feels disrespected, no amount of affection can replace it. Respect is the oxygen of his soul. Without it, he suffocates. With it, he thrives. The fifth danger is indifference. Passion dies not from anger, but from apathy. When your words sound detached, when your tone feels uninterested, when you speak as if he does not matter, he feels a coldness that no physical closeness can warm. Indifference tells him he is replaceable. Indifference tells him he does not belong. And once a man begins to believe he is replaceable, his devotion begins to wither. And finally, the greatest danger of all, using love as a weapon. Some people withhold affection or words of affirmation to gain control, to punish, to manipulate. But love used as a weapon always backfires. It creates fear instead of trust, distance instead of closeness, resentment instead of devotion. A man may stay physically, but his heart will retreat because no one can bloom in the soil of manipulation. Love only grows in freedom. So understand this truth: what you withhold, what you criticize, what you compare, leaves marks just as powerful as the words of affirmation you give. Every sentence you speak in closeness either builds or breaks. There is no neutral ground. You are either planting seeds of devotion or sowing doubt and fear. This is why wisdom matters. This is why awareness matters. Love is not just about what you give. It is about what you guard against. Guard against silence. Guard against comparison. Guard against careless criticism. Guard against disrespect. Guard against indifference. Guard against manipulation. Because when you avoid these dangers, your words become pure. They become safe. They become the kind of words that a man will hold on to for a lifetime. And here lies the secret of human psychology. The brain remembers pain more vividly than pleasure. A careless phrase can echo longer than 1,000 kind ones. That is why discipline in love matters. That is why being intentional matters. Do not allow a single careless moment to undo what your heart has worked so hard to build. The truth is simple. Intimacy is sacred. The words spoken in that space are carved into memory. They shape how he sees himself, how he sees you, and how he sees the bond you share. Use those moments to build, never to destroy. Speak with strength, but also with gentleness. Honor him not just with what you give, but with what you refuse to take away. And when you do, you will find that your love becomes indestructible, because it is built not only on passion, but on wisdom. In the end, love is not owned by chance. It is owned by intention. The words you choose, the tone you use, the respect you show, these are not small details. They are the very foundation upon which devotion is built. When you speak with purpose during intimacy, you are not just enjoying a moment, you are shaping a memory. And memories become anchors. They decide whether love drifts away or whether it roots itself so deeply that nothing can shake it. Every man carries doubts inside him. Doubts about his worth, his strength, his ability to be enough. The world outside often feeds those doubts with pressure, with comparison, with endless expectations. But when he is with you, he does not need another voice of judgment. He needs a voice that silences all the noise, a voice that says, "Here, you are safe. Here, you are enough. Here, you are loved." When you give him that, you do not just touch his body, you touch his soul. Remember this: the heart listens longer than the mind. Long after touch fades, long after time has passed, the words you speak will remain. They will repeat in his mind in moments of weakness, in moments of loneliness, in moments when the world seems too heavy. And when he hears your words echoing inside him, words of strength, words of belonging, words of respect, he will rise again. Because your love will not just comfort him, it will empower him. There is no greater gift you can give a man than the gift of certainty. The certainty that he is wanted, the certainty that he is chosen, the certainty that he is not just another presence in your life, but the presence. This certainty is not created by grand gestures. It is created by consistent words, by daily affirmations that remind him, "You matter. You are mine. I believe in you." Certainty is the soil in which devotion grows, and devotion is the bond that makes love unbreakable. Many people think passion alone can hold love together, but passion without words fades. Many believe commitment alone is enough, but commitment without affirmation grows cold. The truth is that passion needs direction and commitment needs fuel. That fuel is found in words that build instead of break, words that heal instead of hurt, words that strengthen instead of weaken. And here is the beauty of it. You already hold this power. You don't need wealth. You don't need status. You don't need perfection. You only need the courage to speak truth when it matters most. You only need the wisdom to choose love over ego, gentleness over criticism, respect over indifference. Because every time you choose these things, you write another line into the story of devotion, a story he will never want to stop living. Think of it this way. When you look back on your life together, what will remain? It will not be every argument, every flaw, every imperfection. What will remain are the words that carried him, the words that lifted him, the words that told him he was enough when he doubted it most. That is what will define your love, not the mistakes, but the moments of truth. So make this your mission. Let your words become the anchor of his soul. Speak strength into his weakness. Speak certainty into his doubts. Speak loyalty into his fears, because when you do more than win his heart for a season. You bind his heart and his mind to you for life. And do not underestimate the power you carry. One sentence at the right moment can heal years of insecurity. One word of respect can undo a lifetime of doubt. One expression of belonging can silence the loudest fears. That is the magnitude of your influence. That is the depth of your role in his life. So rise to it. Be intentional, be wise, or be courageous enough to speak what many withhold. Because words, when born out of love, are not just sounds, they are seeds. And seeds, when planted in the soil of intimacy, grow into unshakable devotion. And this is the truth that will outlast everything. Bodies age, moments pass, beauty fades, but words remain. And if those words are words of life, then so is the love they created. So the next time you find yourself in that sacred space, remember what you hold. You are not simply sharing a moment, you are shaping a man's soul. And if you choose wisely, if you choose words that build, you will not just own his heart for now. You will own it forever.